Hello everyone. I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting on my videos. I really appreciate your time, patience, love. And in this one, I wanted to speak to you about acceptance. I've been reading a lot of books by Brené Brown recently, of course, because she's brilliant, but also because she speaks to a lot of topics that I'm dealing with on a daily basis in my life, and also I'm hearing about from people who message me, INFJs and non-INFJs both. And one of the things that she said recently in her book, Braving the Wilderness, I think that's what it's called. It's a very short book, and I listened to an audiobook which was read personally by her, which I think is amazing that she does so much and she still manages to create time to read her books, which takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And in that book, she ended off with something that was extremely useful for me to hear. She said something like, and I'd recommend you read the book to really get the full feeling of it, but she said something like, if you go into a situation, or if you go into every situation thinking or feeling or surmising that you're going to be not accepted, that you're going to be shunned, that you're going to be rejected, that you're going to be pushed away, then that is what you're going to experience, because you're going to start looking for signs and symbols that you're not accepted. You're going to start looking for messages from people that say that you're not accepted. You're going to start looking at everything in a way that shows you exactly what you think, which is you're not accepted. And I thought that was really powerful, because obviously her lesson in that, and she says she's experienced that herself, her lesson was that, when you just start going into situations thinking, believing, hoping, surmising, really truly believing that, yeah, I am accepted. No one is rejecting me except for myself, if I'm doing that to myself. No one else is rejecting me, and I am accepted. In whatever way it's possible. It might not be 100% complete acceptance, but it might be 50%, it might be 20%, but there is some acceptance there. And if you kind of go into these situations with the kind of feeling that, no, people are not rejecting me all the time, and yes, they are accepting me, then you will start experiencing that as well. And I've actually been applying it to my own life in the past couple of weeks since I finished reading the book. And a lot of cases, as an INFJ, I assume that people are just going to reject me just because of the fact that I am perhaps a little bit different or unique, or think differently, or live differently, or whatever it might be. It's just something that's been ingrained into me because it has happened to me so many times. We have evidence of it from our past, especially our childhood, and our parents a lot of times would reject us as well, and things like that. So we kind of just believe that that's the way it is. It's just the way it is. That's how it's going to be. I'm not going to be accepted no matter where I go. This is my life. No matter what I think, I'm always going to be rejected, and I just have to get used to it. That's how we believe. That's what we believe, and that's how we live our lives, right? But she really put things into a perspective for me, because sometimes that's what I do as well, is I'll go into a situation and I am being accepted, but because I'm so used to being rejected, I kind of create a situation where I'm rejected, or I start behaving in a way where I feel like I'm being rejected even though I'm not, or I'm just waiting to be rejected because I'm like, well, it's gonna happen soon. I'm sure it's gonna happen soon. I'm sure they're just waiting to reject me. I'm sure it's gonna happen. And I'm just so in that phase of waiting to be rejected that I won't notice the moments that they are accepting me, that they are loving me, that they're wanting to be around me, that they want to hang out with me, that they love me and want me to be around them. And it's like, I'm so in my head, I'm so in this mode of, oh my gosh, everyone hates me and everyone doesn't accept me and I am rejected by everyone, that I don't even notice those moments where I'm being accepted and I am being coddled and securely fastened to people and wanting to be around them. It just feels like I miss all those important moments, those precious moments, because I am so in my head. And I noticed that if I can just go into a situation where I can go in two ways, right? In every situation you go into, you can go in two ways. You can go in with the scenario in your head that you're going to be rejected and everyone's going to hate you, which is normally how we deal with things, and we just already are, making ourselves stronger and closing our hearts off and saying, okay, I'm strong enough, I can deal with it. If they reject me, I can deal with it. It's okay. I've dealt with it in the past. Everything's fine. Nothing to worry about. It's okay. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, and so we kind of coddle ourselves that. Maybe we do our prep talk and we feel like, okay, even if they're cruel to us, I can deal with it because I'm strong enough. So that's one way of dealing with it, of course. And the second way is what Brené Brown recommends, is to go in and imagine that they're here to accept you, and they're ready to accept you, and they wish to accept you. The only thing that is rejecting you is your own perception of the situation. And so I've been trying that in a lot of situations where I'm fearful going into the situation, because I'm like, oh no, but these people, I don't know, what if they don't like me, or they reject me because of who I am or how I think, and I'm a little bit different, or I'm this way or that way, whatever thoughts are going on in my head. Normally I would close myself off and be standoffish and aloof and cold and reject them before they can reject me, which is a really important strategy that I used for a long time, which I am trying not to use anymore. But now I'm trying, as I said, I've been trying for the last 2 weeks to go into a situation like that and be like, all right, I'm going to accept first. I'm going to pretend like everyone's accepting me and everything's fine and nothing is going on and no rejections happening and everything's fine and dandy. And in a lot of cases, because I go in with that scenario in my head, because I go in with that openness and that acceptance within myself, I notice that the situation turns into a place where I feel very much at home, and I feel very much that the person is loving me and being kind to me and is securing me and in their arms or in their aura, and it feels very graceful and loving and kind. And this is something that I've experienced over the past 2 weeks at least 3 or 4 times. And I noticed perhaps also, like, it is, of course, we're creating our reality through our thoughts, but it's also that I don't appear so cold so they don't have to reject me. I go in with the acceptance of myself and the situation and the people. I go in with an openness and an acceptance of everything that's going to come at me. I go in with the attitude that I'm happy and I love myself, and I know you're going to love me too, and of course it ends up being that way. I'm not saying this is easy, because I have 30 odd more years of going into situations knowing that I'll be rejected and rejecting them first and being cold and aloof and all that. And so it's not easy to turn the cards and to behave in a different fashion, of course. But it's something that you can keep in mind as you move through your day. And every single time you go into a situation thinking, oh, I'm going to be rejected now, you could switch it in your head. It is just about not identifying yourself as a rejected human being, but just identifying yourself as a human being, right? As INFJs, we have this tendency to just kind of hold this idea in our head that I'm a rejected person, I'm an alien, I am not accepted, no one is ever going to love me, kind of thing. We have these ideas in our head, and we kind of run with it. We never think anything besides those thoughts. It becomes our pattern, it becomes our habit, it becomes our way of doing things, and it's not healthy. And so I love Brené Brown for so many reasons, but I love that she gave me this teaching or this lesson, because I really am grateful to go into a situation and not have to hold on so tight to my idea of, oh my gosh, I hate this, and they're going to hate me, and they're not going to like me, and I'm going to hate them, and I hate this situation, and I don't want to be here, and that it becomes very heavy to deal with. It becomes really hard, and it's not something that I want to do to myself all the time, which I do. I constantly push myself in that manner. I constantly make myself feel bad because I'm rejecting myself before they can even reject me. I reject them before they can reject me. I reject the whole situation before it can reject me. And it just becomes a very isolating and depressing and disappointing way to live. It's extremely lonely because you never allow anyone to get close to you, and you just remain in that little bubble of yours where you think that everyone's going to reject you just because you are and have been rejected in the past. So I really do recommend, of course, the book Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown, or any of her books. She's brilliant. But also to try in the next situation that you encounter to not go in with this idea, this shackled idea in your head that you are going to be rejected and you should just give up and no one's ever going to accept you and no one's ever going to love you in that manner. Even if it's platonic, we just assume that everyone's going to hate us. And so try to do it differently in your mind at least. Perhaps it'll work, perhaps it won't. But for me, I've noticed that it really does work. And I only feel rejected by others when I start hackling myself, when I start creating these barriers in myself, and I start, running within myself and hiding and contracting rather than opening up and being open to whatever comes at me and being open to the person in front of me or the situation in front of me. Of course, this requires a lot of practice, and I'm still not good at it, so I'm going to see how it goes over the next few weeks. But I'm grateful just to have that knowledge in my head to say, okay, how am I going to deal with this situation? Am I going to be open, or am I going to be rejecting? And just having that in my head really changes the whole situation. It completely changes it because I am going in with more consciousness rather than just unconsciously following my pattern of rejecting everything and rejecting everyone and myself in the process. I hope this helps. If you have questions about this, please let me know. I'm not an expert, but I do know that this is something that I've found useful for myself, and I know you'll find useful as well. So comment below and I shall try to answer any questions or anything like that. And if you've experienced this on your own, please share your experiences with us. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, for being on my channel. I really appreciate all your support, and I shall see you the next time. Bye.